Say this with me, say one thing is needed. And Mary has chosen that good part, which will not be taken away from her. So David is in war and he's saying, I'm gonna dwell. This one thing I desire is to dwell in God's house. Mary is not in war, she is in worry. Demons she cannot blame because Jesus is in her living room. Jesus, along with disciples, Martha, I apologize, not Mary, are in Mary's and Martha's house, and Jesus is teaching His disciples. Martha is in the kitchen busy. Things are not working out. The stove is probably not warming up properly. Some foods are getting like too cold. Some are getting too hot. She's just frustrated. She does not have a good day. And so Martha is worried. She has Jesus in her house. So David says, I want to be in God's house. Martha got it better. She got Jesus in her house. When you're a Christian, you have Jesus living in your heart, which is His house. Can somebody say amen? Now we go to God's house, but we also have God living in our own house. And if that is happening with you, shout amen. Now, having Jesus in your house does not automatically remove your anxiety, depression, fear, overthinking, jealousy, orphan spirit, or worry. If it would, Mary wouldn't be worried and troubled. So many Christians are living, Martha, I apologize, Martha. So many Christians, especially in the Western countries, as well as those of you watching us online, live today depressed, worried, with anxiety, on antidepressants, on anxiety medication. And this is interesting, while they have Jesus in their own life. You may say, how would you explain that? Very simple. Jesus actually gives a solution to that. He tells Martha, He says, your problem is not demons. Your problem is not spells or witches. Your problem is not generational curses. And your problem is not me. Because she came blaming Jesus. She says, Jesus, why can't you do something about this? And then when she saw that Jesus wasn't taking the bait, she started to blame Mary, her sister. And Mary just like, talk to my hand, I don't hear you. She's just like, focus on Jesus. And so Jesus confronts Martha and says this, Martha, Martha, one thing is needed. David's one thing was to be in God's house. Martha's one thing wasn't to get Jesus inside of her house. She already covered that. It's to spend time with Jesus at His feet and listen to His word. What does that mean? That means you can have Jesus in your heart, but if you don't spend quality time every day with Jesus, you will be no different than people down the street in your neighborhood, in your work, in your school who don't have Jesus. That's why some of us were like, well, but I got saved. I felt the tears. I felt the tingling. The weight lifted up. I came back and my depression is back in my house. What is the solution? One thing is needed. And Mary has chosen that thing, which means this one thing of spending time with Jesus every day, quality time with Jesus, is not something that comes on you. You have to choose it. It's not a personality trait. Oh, I'm just a Martha type of a person. No, 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 no. I just don't have this kind of a, thing where I could just sit and enjoy Jesus. I'm more rational and I just don't have time to do that stuff. Make time. You can do that. You choose to do that. This is very practical. It's almost so simple we can teach it in the children's church right now. But if you take 15 minutes a day of uninterrupted quality time, you at the feet of Jesus, praying to Jesus, and then listening to Jesus, something is going to happen in a matter of 6 months. The worries you battle with today, you will see that they will subside. You will begin to experience victory in those areas. Paul tells us in Philippians, he says that do not be anxious for anything. And then you would think Paul will give us some really awesome positive thinking techniques.